Bihari. Gopijana Palava Jayogiri Varadhari Jayogiri Varadhari Jayogiri Varadhari Jayogiri Varadhari Jayo Yashodanandana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Jayo Yashodanandana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balava Jayo Giri Varadhari Jayo Giri Varadhari Jayo Yashodanandana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jaya Om Vishnupat Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Stotra Sata A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. Om Vishnupat Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Stotra Sata Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki. Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki. Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindaki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Syama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardham Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Shri Jagannath Puri Purukshottama Kshetra Dham Ki Ganga Mai Ki Yamuna Mai Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Shrimati Tulsi Devi Maharani ki, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki, Brihat Midanga ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Narayanam namaskritam Naram chaiva narotamam Devim saraswatim vyasam Tato jayamudiraye. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om ajnanatimiram dasya jnananjana salakaya chakshur unmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangulangayate girim yatkripattamaham bande Shri Gurun dinataranam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 8, Text 24. The character of Bharata Maharaj. We'll read word by word. You can repeat. Api sweet, can it be, asau, that Bhagavan, most powerful, Udupatihi, the moon, Enam, this, Mrigapati Bhayat, because of fear of the lion, Mrita Mataram, who lost its mother, Mriga Balakam, the son of a deer, Swa Asram Paribrashtam, who strayed from its ashram, Anukampaya, out of compassion, Kripana Janavatsala, the moon, who is very kind to the unhappy man, Paripati now is protecting it. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Maharaj Bharat continued to speak like a madman. Seeing above his head the dark marks on the rising moon, which resembled a deer, he said, "Can it be that the moon, who is so kind to an unhappy man, might also be kind upon my deer, knowing that it has strayed from home and has become motherless? This moon has given the deer shelter near itself just to protect it from the fearful attacks of a lion." Next verse. After perceiving the moon shine, Maharaj Bharat continued speaking like a crazy person. He said, "The deer's son was so submissive and dear to me that due to its separation, I am feeling separation from my own son. Due to the burning fever of this separation, I am suffering as if inflamed by a forest fire. My heart, which is like the lily of the land, is now burning. Seeing me so distressed, the moon is certainly splashing its shining nectar upon me, just as a friend throws water on another friend who has a high fever. In this way, the moon is bringing me happiness." Purport. According to Ayurvedic treatment, it is said that if one has a high fever, someone should splash him with water after gargling this water. In this way, the fever subsides. Although Bharat Maharaj was very aggrieved due to the separation of his so-called son, the deer, He thought that the moon was splashing gargled water on him from his mouth, and that this water could subdue his high fever, which was raging due to separation from the deer. So, thank you everyone for coming. Srimad Bhagavatam. I ask for blessing from our seniors and all good wishes from you, so we can speak on Srimad Bhagavatam for our purification. So here Srila Prabhupada has given all the Srila Prabhupada's purports has touched many aspects of life. It's mainly focused on spiritual life, but sometimes he also gives some tips on different things. Like now he's explaining that according to Ayurvedic treatment, if one has a high fever, someone can splash him water after gargling on him. Who wants to try that? It's interesting. So the Vedas, they are presenting, Vedas means knowledge, but Krishna explained in the Bhagavad Gita that the Vedas means and deals mainly with the three moods of nature, Traigunya Vishaya Veda. And there is only a small portion, which is especially the Upanishads, that are meant for transcendentalists. So there are many things in the Vedas, like we have Upavedas, like Ayurveda, and Vedas about other subject matter. All subject matter that we need to live in the material world are explained in the Vedas. But the most important, all the Vedas, the purpose of the Vedas are meant to understand Krishna. Vedanta Krit Vedavid Eva Jahana. He's the compiler of the Vedas and the purpose of the Vedas. So the devotional service is Jnana Karma Anavitam Anya Vilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Adi means other process or other things that may cover bhakti, like yoga, or can be Ayurveda, astrology, etc. It's not only, we may be diverted from bhakti by karma, by fruitive activities, or by trying to pursue knowledge in order to obtain liberation. But also we can be diverted from the purpose of life through other aspects of knowledge, like yoga and astrology, and put more faith on those subject matter than in Krishna. So the topic, one of the themes in this section of the Bhagavatam is who is the protector. We may trust in medicine, in police, in our own strength, in protecting ourselves or protecting others. But finally, the protector is Krishna. And this is the illusion of Maharaj Bharat. Now, he's thinking that he's the only protector of the deer. He became very attached to the deer. And now he's speaking like a crazy man, a madman, in relation to the deer. And he's saying beautiful poetry and glorifying very nicely the deer. But it's all due to illusion. All these prayers will be fit for Krishna, that glorification. But because he's misplacing that sense of also compassion that he has, of affection for the deer, he is said to be in Maya, in illusion. So, I want to, first of all, explain that here the dilemma is who is the Maharaj Bharat is mistaking who is the ultimate protector, and is also misplacing his compassion and affection. So in Srimad Bhagavatam and other scriptures, we have examples of devotees misplacing compassion, and we also have examples of devotees applying compassion in the proper way. So Maharaj Bharat is an example in this context of misplacing his compassion and therefore deviating from devotional service. So can you think in another examples? Yes, of misplaced compassion. Arjuna, it's a famous case. It was a trigger for Krishna speaking Bhagavad Gita. Dhritarashtra, because he was overly affection to his sons. And Chitraketu, he lamented because of the death of his son. He was overwhelmed and then was instructed by Angira Muni. So we have Dhritarashtra. In case of Dhritarashtra, he's not a devotee, at least it's not presented as a devotee, but he is a perfect case, example of misplacing affection. And also, nunam pramata kurute vikarma, that a person who increases his attachment and goes freely through sense gratifications become mad in trying to pursue his desires, and in that way commit all kind of sinful activities. That Dhritarashtra, in order to protect his sons, he tried to kill the Pandavas in so many ways. So another example. Hiranyakashipu. Well, this is yes, but this is an example of the mentality of demon in regarding affection, because he was very affection to Prahlad. He also, at one point, he had Prahlad in his lap, and he was smelling his head, like very affectionate. And then he asked, "Please tell me what is the most important thing that you learned in school." And when Prahlad Maharaj answered Sravana and Kirtanam, he became mad at him and chastised him. So that in the same way that Kamsa, he was also overly affectionate to Devaki. Not overly, but he was probably affection, but because he find out that Devaki will be the cause of his death, because his eighth son will kill him, immediately he changed that affection to hate. So he started trying to kill her. In the case of Mother Sachi, affection for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, I can touch the topic. It's transcendental. I mean, it's not. Also, the dealing with Advaita Acharya is all in the realm of lila, pastime between Krishna and his devotees and his pure devotees. So I haven't think about that deeply, so therefore I don't want to speculate now. But we can put Mother Sachi in the other category properly. Okay, so there is another case of Maharaj. Okay? Please. Sorry. We can bring the microphone actually, because I may be doing some questions.
About Krishna directly.
So can you repeat that?
Vyasadeva writes the entire Vedas, and he feels that a conditioned soul needs to be given sense gratification to attract him to Krishna. And it is done very indirectly. And Narad Muni says this is completely misplaced compassion, because you haven't directly glorified Krishna. It will not bring satisfaction to the heart.
Yeah, that's another example. Srila Vyasadeva, he wanted to point people to Krishna because he is an incarnation, of literary incarnation of Krishna, but he presents the gradual process, like sometimes in an indirect way, so people could be misled by the Vedas, because there are Artha, Kama, and Moksha, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Therefore, when he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam after being instructed by Narada Muni, he makes sure that this Srimad Bhagavatam will point directly to Krishna. Therefore, he starts by saying Dharma prajito kaitavo, that rejecting all religion motivated by material motive. And that includes from compassion. Yeah, Maharaj Yudhishthira also was overwhelmed after the death of all his relatives, and he was feeling guilty. And then not even Krishna could pacify him, only Bhishmadev. Okay. So I wanted to focus on one example. Also, is King Yudhishthira again lamenting for the departure of King Dhritarashtra, his uncle, when he left to the forest, but nobody knew what happened. One morning he wakes up and he didn't see Dhritarashtra. This was after the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And although King Dhritarashtra was in plain words a rascal, according to the story of Mahabharata, and he did so many nasty things to the Pandavas, King Yudhishthira felt compassion for him, and especially when he left, he was really sorry and worried about what will happen to Dhritarashtra, who was very old, and he was now in the forest. So the forest is very dangerous. There are tigers, etc. So Narada Muni appeared in the right moment and started giving instructions. Those instructions are very relevant also for Bharata Maharaj. But Bharata Maharaj didn't have that fortune of having Narada Muni in the forest. So I want to read a few verses from Narada Muni instructing King Yudhishthira. So when King Yudhishthira was lamenting for what will happen with the Dhritarashtra about his future, he didn't know he die or not die. He's alive. So Narada Muni said, "Do not lament for anyone, for everyone is under the control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, all living beings and their leaders carry on worship to be well protected. It is He only who brings them together and disperses them." Then he said other things, and he said, "As a cow bound through the nose by a long rope is conditioned, so also human beings are bound by different Vedic injunctions and are conditioned to obey the orders of the Supreme. As a player sets up and disperses his playthings according to his own sweet will, so the supreme will of the Lord brings men together and separates them. O King, in all circumstances, whether you consider the soul to be an eternal principle, or the material body to be perishable, or everything to exist in the impersonal absolute truth, or everything to be an inexplicable combination of matter and spirit, feelings of separation are due only to illusory affection and nothing more." So he's pointing these feelings of separation that Maharaj Yudhishthira was feeling from Dhritarashtra was material, based on illusion. In the same way, Maharaj Bharat feelings of separation for the deer are due to illusion. Then Narada Muni says, "Therefore give up your anxiety due to ignorance of the self. You are now thinking of how they, who are helpless, poor creatures, will exist without you." So, thinking that what Bharat Maharaj is thinking, what will happen to my deer? And he's thinking, the moon is... He's thinking that it's overly important, the deer. So the moon is giving light to him, so he will protect it from the tigers. So he's really like in an ecstasy. Maharaj Bharat, material madness. Misplacing who is the wrongly thinking that he may be the protector of the deer and he's responsible for him. So Narada Muni continue. The gross material body made of 5 elements is already under the control of eternal time, kala, action, karma, and the mood of material nature, guna. How then can it be already in the yacht of the serpent protect others? So how can one who is under this yacht of the serpent of time can protect others? So in one of the purports, I don't remember where, I remember Prabhupada explaining that we are like when you try to kill a roach, we don't try to kill it. But if you step over one of them, sometimes they still are alive and they move their legs like that. So he said everyone is in that situation, in this material world. We are just on the verge of death, like an insect, a roach who has been smashed. So we are just moving for a few minutes and then die. So in that situation, we may be thinking that we can help others, but we are also going through we are going to die. But we don't see that because of illusion, we cannot see our reality. So we lament for others. So Narada Muni is bringing Maharaj Yudhishthira to a real understanding. And then he said the final, one of his final verse is the famous verse, the Jivo Jivasya Jivanam verse. He says, "Those who are devoid of hands are prey for those who have hands. Those devoid of legs are prey to the four-legged. The weak are the subsistence of the strong, and the general rule holds that one living being is food for another." So with this verse, he smashed the feelings of King Yudhishthira, because he was thinking he may die, and usually a friend will tell us, "Don't worry, he's okay." Sometimes when a child is crying, like, "Oh, where is my mother? It's not coming. She went to shopping at morning and it's already 7 p.m. It's not coming." And so a friend will say, "Don't worry, maybe she found some friends and she's talking, or maybe she forgot something." But if a friend comes and say, "Okay, don't worry, she may die, because everyone will die, so don't worry. Krishna is the protector, but like in this world we are obsessed. It's the world is struggling for a life. So maybe a thief caught her and raped her. I don't know." So the kid will become like, "No," crying. So Maharaj Yudhishthira may be expecting, okay, Narada Muni will say, "No, don't worry, Dhritarashtra is okay." But he's saying, "Jivo Jivasya Jivanam." One living entity is food for another living entity. In other words, he's saying maybe he was killed by a tiger. So these instructions are like very appropriate also for Maharaj Bharat, in the same way. And the last instruction of Narada Muni is that, therefore, this conclusion is, "O king, you should look to the Supreme Lord only, who is one without a second and who manifests himself by different energies." So he's pointing, just practice focus on Krishna, practice devotional service. Don't lament. It's the same that Krishna instructs to Arjuna. He was lamenting for his relative, etc., what will happen in the battle, etc. But finally Krishna said, "Mad manava, mad bhakto," just focus your mind on me. Maya sakta manaparta yoga yunjam asamsaya. Just don't divert your mind in other things, because the result is such a storm. You will be lamenting for things that are not worthy of lamenting. So this is an example is in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 13th chapter. Dhritarashtra quit the home, which is related to this pastime of Bharat Maharaj. And then we have examples in Srimad Bhagavatam of properly placing compassion. So, can you think of one or two examples? Yeah, this is a perfect prayer from Queen Kunti, very advanced, but to transfer the affection to Krishna. But she doesn't want to be overly affection to his family members. She wants to be affection to put all the affection to Krishna, which means to be affection to everyone. Prabhupada explained in the purport that actually her family was all devotees, so it was proper to have affection for his family members, because there was a relation to Krishna. In the same way, King Rishabhadev instructs all his sons to be attached to Bharat Maharaj, because Bharat Maharaj was a pure devotee. Therefore, he's not expressing family affection, but affection to the soul, and his relationship with Krishna. Especially attachment to pure devotees brings the best result. So this is a good example. Another one?
This is similar, I guess, to what you said. Prahlad Maharaj is compassionate towards all the fools and rascals who are rotting in the material world.
Yeah, this is another perfect. Yeah, Prahlad Maharaj is praying even for his father, for all the kala, all the envious persons. He wants them to be pacified by the same instruction that Narada Muni is giving to King Yudhishthira, by engaging everyone in devotional service. That's the way everyone will be pleased. So another example of compassion is that is related to animals. It's Shivananda Sena. Shivananda Sena was a pure devotee of the Lord, and he was in charge of serving the devotees when they were going to pilgrimage, especially from different places to Jagannath Puri. He was doing all the arrangements of the devotees. And because he was in the platform of an Uttama Adhikari, he could see everyone. Like he had that vision of Pandita Sama Darshinaha. So there was one day he found a dog that was following them, all the devotees, on the way to Jagannath Puri. So he just he liked the dog, so he fed the dog and protect the dog. And one day they had to cross the river, and the boatman, he said, "Okay, everyone can go, but the dog also has to pay." So Shivananda Sena paid pay a ticket for the dog. Usually dogs are not very, especially in India, nobody cares about dogs. So it's very impressive that Shivananda Sena was taking care of a dog. So here in America, everyone have dogs. And if someone don't treat a dog nice, you may go to jail even. Like, yeah, you may have problems if you kick a dog, something like that. But the case of Shivananda Sena wasn't like people who has dog nowadays. So we can compare with Bharat Maharaj and Shivananda Sena. What was the result of the deer, and what was the result of this dog? Both are devotees. Maharaj Bharat, and both are great devotees, and Shivananda Sena. But how they behave is different. It seems similar, but because of the result of the story of Shivananda Sena is different than the story of the life of Maharaj Bharat. So Shivananda Sena, then I think I will read so I can explain better. One day, while Shivananda Sena was detained by a tall man, his servant forgot to give the dog its good rice. This is after he paid for the boatman to take the dog. Then Shivananda Sena, he put the dog in trust of another person, so they have to feed them, but they didn't take care properly of the dog. And the person forgot to give cooked rice. Well, very good. Rice is it's a good food. So, and it's interesting that they are not given meat, because sometimes we may have a dog and we may say, "Oh, the dog eat meat. I don't eat meat, but I can give meat to the dog. But this is not very good because we will participate of the karma just by buying the meat. We are also supporting meat eating and meat cow killing. So devotees' dogs are vegetarian. Yes, and we are very happy. I haven't seen. So one day when Shivananda was, when he learned that the dog had not been supplied food in his absence, he was very unhappy. He then immediately sent 10 men to find the dog. You can see, like, he sent 10 men to find the dog. Imagine if here in the temple came a cat, something, and then the cat is lost, and then the temple president said, well, send all the brahmacharis to go. No, but we should go to Sankirtan. No, go and find that cat. So everyone will be like, what's going on? So when the men returned without success, Shivananda Sena became very unhappy and fasted for the night. So it was very important. He was very distressed. So at this point we can think that this is not different from Bharat Maharaj's example. Shivananda Sena we may think he's deviating now. He will take the body of a dog. So in the morning they looked for the dog, but it could not be found anywhere. All the Vaishnavas were astonished. I think that all the Vaishnavas were worried. So thus, in great anxiety, they all walked to Jagannath Puri, where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met them as usual. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went with them to see the Lord in the temple, and on that day he also took lunch in the company of all those devotees. As previously, the Lord provided them all with residential quarters, and the next morning all the devotees came to see the Lord. So I don't want to deviate from the point, but I just want to appreciate how Chaitanya Charitamrita can be appreciated in different ways. Especially we can see how the devotees are exchanges among devotees and are very relevant to our nowadays in ISKCON, because we also, in the same mood, the devotees in ISKCON, when there is a festival, they prepare the rooms, everything, like in Mayapur or here for the festival of the Holy Name. So in the same way, Lord Chaitanya also, he was receiving the devotees, and through Shivananda Sena also he was preparing to receive them properly, and also when they came to Jagannath Puri, he made all the arrangements for them. So then all the devotees came to the place of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what happened then? They saw the same dog sitting a little apart from the Lord. And this is the end of the story. He said, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was throwing remnants of green coconut pulp to the dog. Smiling in his own way, he was saying to the dog, chant the holy names, Ram, Krishna, and Hari. Seeing the dog eating the green coconut pulp and chanting, Krishna, Krishna. Again and again, all the devotees present were very surprised. Sometimes I never saw a dog chanting Krishna. I can imagine chanting Gaura, Gaura. Because it's more like maybe the mouse, maybe easier. This is amazing. The dog was chanting Krishna, Krishna. And this is historical. It's 500 years ago. It happened. There are many others who saw this happening. So seeing the dog eating the green coconut pulp and chanting Krishna, Krishna again and again, all the devotees present were very surprised. When he saw the dog sitting in that way and chanting the name of Krishna, Shivananda Sena, I cannot read because of the light, but anyway, Shivananda Sena paid obeisances to the dog. He paid obeisances because he understood that here is a great soul, and I may have committed offenses. So finally, the next day, nobody could see the dog, and everyone understood the dog went back to Godhead. went to Vaikuntha. And Prabhupada explained, this is the result of sadhu sangha. So, what happened with the deer of Bhara Maharaj? Nothing is explained that he went back to God. It's not explained that he received the benefit for the association. Not because Maharaj Bharat was not a devotee, but the exchange was material. This exchange of Shivananda Sena was spiritual. And especially we see how Lord Chaitanya exchanges with the dog. He was giving the dog prasadam, Mahaprasadam, and remnants from him. So this this dog evoked in the devotees the devotion to Krishna, because he was chanting Krishna, Krishna, and he's in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it seemed that was a very fortunate soul. And Prabhupada said that therefore Bhaktivinoda Thakur thinks that he doesn't mind to become a dog. Actually, he doesn't mind to take birth again and again in the material world, as soon as he at least gets birth as a dog in the family of a Vaishnava. Because doesn't matter if you're a dog, you're a roach, you're a mouse. If you are in touch with the pure devotees, the result is the same. It doesn't for a human being as for a dog. That Prabhupada, in other words, explained in the purport. So kukura is a dog, and so this. No, but in this song, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he said he doesn't mind to. You mentioned the son of being born as a worm in the stool. But Prabhupada is quoting Bhaktivinoda Thakur, explaining that he doesn't mind to be born in the family of a Vaishnava as a dog, to be the dog of a Vaishnava. This is a very, it's considered very important to be a dog in the family of a Vaishnava, because you get prasadam every day, and the affection of pure devotees. That just to finish, so we can have questions. Recently, there was a family, a friend of mine, devotees, and they have a dog, and the dog was sick. So they wrote me in the chat. He's very. I didn't know it was a dog. But they said he's really bad, and we are in distress, and he may die in 2-3 days. He has cancer. So I was thinking, what's the husband? This lady. So I wrote immediately, what's happened? Who has cancer? And he said, my dog. So at first I said, oh, okay. But then I tried to think of, so what's happened? Why they are like so overwhelmed by the dog? So I called them, and we have a conversation in Skype, and they explained me that this dog is very special. And the dog always stayed under the altar when they were offering or chanting. And somehow or other, all the devotees were very affectionate to that dog. And now he had the devotees in Vrindavan praying for the dog. And the dog had a kunti, mala, tulsi leaf in their tongue, Ganges water, and 24-hour kirtan. 24, and they explained to me we were lacking, our devotional service were lacking. We didn't open the altar for days. But after our dog became sick, we started doing kirtan and putting playing kirtan 24 hours there. And somehow or other, he made us remember Krishna. So in that way, they connect with people in Vrindavan. Because they were very attached, but that attachment was helping them to become more Krishna conscious. So the devotees went to their house, I think, and they chant. So they managed to get Lord Nrsimha oil like that. And the next day, I talked to them, the dog passed away. So this is I don't want to judge the case, but somehow or other that dog helped them to think about Krishna. But the case of Bharat Maharaj is when we distract. So a proper affection is when is direct to Krishna and help us to become more focused in our devotional service. Whatever deviates us from devotional service, the principle is considered Maya, and whatever help us to increase our Krishna consciousness is considered the Daivi Prakritim Ashrita. We are taking shelter of Krishna. So, Nukulyasa Sankalpa Pratikulyasa Varjanam. Whatever is favorable for Krishna consciousness, we should accept, and whatever is unfavorable is not accepted. So this story is not about a deer, or it's about where a devotee can have a deer or not. This is not the issue. He had a pet or doesn't have a pet. The issue is what is best for this devotee. For Bharat Maharaj, it wasn't good. But for Shivananda Sena, it was good. So in the same way, we have to judge through the spiritual master and other senior devotees in every aspect of devotional service and in our life, and see how much attachment we are developing for Krishna, or how much we are being taken away from devotional service. Even in the name of preaching, we can also be taken away by taking care of someone who we may feel compassion, but may drag us from devotional service. So we have to remember these pastimes. So if there are any questions, we have time for maybe 1, 2.
Hare Krishna. What's the fate of a dog that was owned by a neophyte devotee? Like, I used to feed my dog all the time, and I would go to the temple and bring back, like prasadam, and I would feed my dog, and I did this for years. And I was at the neophyte, still at the neophyte stage.
I don't know. Yeah, I can't say what will happen. Just I would say that it's good that you give prasad and no boga.
Sometime it happened. You told that in the name of preaching, we get taken away. Even if we don't have any conception of preaching, we go for book distribution, and we might get carried away by the influence of. We might get carried away by the influence of Maya. So how to protect ourselves while doing this work, going on the book distribution or doing anything in the streets? So.
Remember in these pastimes, and I'm following the instructions. Because while we are doing, there is no danger in doing preaching. The problem is when we are not preaching, in the name of preaching. So where you are engaged in devotional service, there is no danger. Kirtan is the safest place. But because sometimes dealing with others, with non-devotees, for example, sometimes we have to use ways to attract them, and in that, or use material things to attract them, dress in a certain way to attract them. And so these things can take one away if are not properly used. I remember examples in Sankirtan. Sometimes people say, I will take the book if you do these things, for example. Once we were a group of brahmacharis, and some people used to tell us in Spain, okay, I take the book, but please, I want to talk to you. So let's go to the bar. Not a bar, a cafe. No? Let's give me 30 minutes so we can talk. So we started doing that sometimes because people were seeing us with devotees and they wanted to talk. But then sometimes was dragging ourselves. like 1 hour talking and just one book. So our leader said, no, this will deviate you from the devotional service. And then finally, what can you speak in 1 hour with someone who is not really interested in Krishna? Like they just want to talk. So you have to measure how much. Prabhupada said, what will do your 15 minutes of preaching, 3 minutes of, if they don't take the book. The most important if they take the book. And so we want to make sure we are giving Krishna consciousness to people. But sometimes it's a balance. We have to see. We have to be kind. And these things are like material in the sense that we are not just coming to someone and say, okay, take the book and I don't want to know anything about you. Nothing. Just take the book, leave you. Nothing. Just take the book, leave me alone. We want to be kind, etc., but not being carried away. Don't lose the purpose. So the devotees is gentle. Therefore, Maharaj Bharat, it was nice that he take care of the deer, like when he was dying. Many of us, we may see a dog like it's being killed, and we say, ha, 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 and just continue chanting, because no compassion. But the devotees of heart, his heart is soft, so he would say, no, I don't like to see the jiva suffering. But he may do something and immediately go back to his service or try to help spiritually in that situation. So we may not have any compassion for the people, and we just following orders, just preach. So we go and preach. But still we have to also be kind, etc., but with the understanding that we are doing devotional service. I'm here just to give the books, and that's my mission, so don't get diverted. Someone may say, okay, let's come and take a juice with me and talk a little bit, and I'll give you a donation, take a book. You can come every day and we do that. If this won't help that person to become Krishna conscious and you, then we don't accept. But if that situation will help both, we accept. So it's a very individual. We can be carried away even in the temple room, in every place, not only in preaching. I mean, I'm not doing puja, any service. We can, like the mind of Bharat Maharaj, where he was doing his worshipping and he was thinking of the deer while worshipping. He wasn't preaching really, like when he was just sitting in his place of worship, and just by this contact with the deer, he started forgetting Krishna. So we can also, just in our mind travel, we can think about many old stuff and get lost. Okay, thank you for... Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki.